Good morning and welcome into the Pats Nation. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe's with us in the booth. You are watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast. You can catch us. And when you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. Like the show. Leave us a comment. We will talk about that on the show. Or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. And of course, if you want to talk with us, you want to hear your wonderful, beautiful voice on the air, you can call us in heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. It's a message line. Leave us a message 24/7. Have a take. Joe may pick one. Let's hope it's yours. Hi, guys.
I'm surprised. We must have got all kind of foul language this week, Joe, in our mailbag after this last game.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But
we
guys,
didn't hear from Paul
yet.
yet.
Good morning.
Happy holidays. We didn't hear from Paul, though.
Still haven't heard from Paul.
Maybe Paul moved. Maybe he ain't around no more. I don't know.
Still haven't heard from Paul. But
Vito back.
yesterday on Corso and Catone, we went off pretty good on this team, on that Buffalo loss, that 35-31 loss. But now it's time to turn the page as they kick off tonight against the Baltimore Ravens, as that game was flexed.
Night games.
I don't like night games. I'm not a night game.
And you brought up a good point, Chris, a couple of weeks ago. You said, Mark, the place will be more crazy because it's a night game. If it was a 1 o'clock game in Baltimore, you felt better about being a 1 o'clock game and an 8 o'clock game at night in Baltimore. You know,
especially now coming off this loss to the Bills. Yeah. But we're going to talk about this Baltimore game. We're going to start in Drake Mania, talk about Drake May, what he needs to do to bounce back now from a poor second half performance last week. What's he going to do this week? We'll talk about that. And in Pat's preview, we're going to give our offensive and defensive keys to victory, as always. And we're going to go in the coach's room and coach's corner. Is there a rift building? Is there a division in with this team? I don't know. We'll discuss it.
I know where you're going.
We're going to hear some from the players. We're going to hear from the coaches. And we're going to try to make you some money in Sunday spread. But, guys, it's the holiday season. And just as a programming note, we're taking next week off, giving ourselves the week off, right?
I think we deserve it after this. You know, it's been a long stretch, right? Think about it. We've been going nonstop since training camp.
Well, the fans don't know what a toll it takes when the Patriots lose like they did last week on us.
Yes, I'm wearing the red shirt right now because of that, you know. So, but we are going to
I was going to say, it's been a while, Chris, since we've seen the red shirt, though.
I know. See, there it is, you know. Yeah.
It's been a while.
So we're going to be taking next week off. So we will not be with you next Sunday, but we will be with you the Sunday following for our breakdown of the Miami Dolphins, the final game of the season, which will be against the Miami Dolphins. That will have played the Jets in between. So we'll recap that just a little bit too. Hopefully that's a win. And hopefully we have the division.
Bench tour this week, so we probably get the backup quarterback.
Yours.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But let's get to the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about this game, and let's talk about the quarterback and Drake Mania. We're going to do that. We're going to do it right now.
Yeah, that's what I've been battling, probably since college. Since college, I was, more down the field, and it's not even, trying to force that. It's kind of the offense I was in, and the backs weren't getting out. They were more blocking in college, so just trying to take the plays that the defense gives me and realize that, moving the chains and being in 2nd and 4 versus 2nd and 10 is better. So just challenging that, but at the same time, you got to keep the defense, on his toes for not squatting on routes and let them know that we can, hit one over their head.
All right, Mark. So I wanted to play that. That was, of course, Drake May talking about when asked about the checkdowns. Because last week in that Buffalo game, there were some guys open. There were some checkdowns. There were backs. They were the tight end at times. That either he didn't see it, the protection's breaking down around him, and he forced to not see it, or he's just looking past it and looking to always make a play downfield. But that was his answer, and what do you make of that answer?
Listen, he had a bad game, Chris. I mean, he struggled a bit, but Chris, you had mentioned yesterday on the show that this isn't the first time that teams have done this to him, where they've gone to the double high safeties and it appears they're going to be playing zone, but in the second half they went man on him, and he struggled with check downs. He struggled with finding the open man, and his receivers couldn't get separation. But this is something we saw more of, Chris, with the Raider game, the Steeler game. Even though we turned the ball over 5 times, he still struggled in that game. We haven't seen this from him in quite a while, but he reverted back to, and as crazy as it sounds, Chris, we haven't seen, teams have tried it, but Buffalo
executed it. Teams have been trying this on him, but Buffalo executed it. And you really did a good job this week saying to me, Mark, this is what they actually did to confuse him. If you want to tell the viewers, you said, Mark, this is all they did, and he just couldn't do it. Couldn't figure it out. They went to a too high shell. Drake May, there's no secret. We just heard it in that bite that he likes to go out. He likes to go down the field with the ball. So, Buffalo did.
You were going down the field because your receivers couldn't get open.
Yeah,
that's a whole other segment.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a minute. But as far as what he saw, what was happening, I mean, they're playing 2 high safeties. Okay. And now normally when you have a cover 2 look like that, there's a lot of zone that's played underneath it. And there was at times, but a lot of times what they did was they went to a too high look to take away that anything deep like that, where they could end up doubling somebody down the field. Mm-hmm. And they played man underneath it. Okay. So they played tight man coverage underneath that cover 2 shell. Okay. So, which means you had 4 guys covering man underneath, and you had 2 deep safeties to help. And that means you were rushing 5. Remember last week I told you our game plan for Buffalo needed to be just because you play man coverage doesn't mean you have to blitz.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, this is what Buffalo was doing, except they were taking that extra guy and they were putting him as a safety in the downfield. And they did a nice job, but see where it really, really helped. See, teams can do this. We've watched teams do this against May in the past. But what May does is he finds a crease, he finds a seam when their backs are turned, and he goes. And he takes off running for 15 yards, right? Mm-hmm. What Buffalo was able to do, and this is, I'm not sure if Baltimore can do it. I don't know if they have the horses to do this. But what Buffalo was able to do is they were able to rush 2 edge guys, pinch from the edges, keep the pocket intact, while the other 3 pass rushers came up into Drake May's face and closed all the running lanes for May to get out. I mean, that's what they did. And that confused the hell out of them. But you wouldn't be able to do that if you had what?
Receivers.
I mean, if you're gonna play a defense like that, you got to make sure you can lock down the wide receivers.
Buffalo ran split safety shells on 86% of the plays.
Right. Yeah. I didn't see that. It's what they were doing to them. It's what they were doing.
And I believe that was in the second half, Chris. Granted, we only ran 18 plays. But on 90% of those plays almost, Chris, that's what they were running.
Yeah. And then, after the game, you talked about some of the issues. Greg Bedard talked with Boston Sports Journal, talked about some of the offensive issues, and with Drake May, and this is what he said.
I think the Bills went to a lot more man coverage in the second halh. And
but what he didn't see was
that
high
felt like it that way to me during the game. We'll have to see if that comes out that way in the end. But, whatever they did, it definitely changed the picture for Drake May because he looked confused, hesitant, held the ball. He also didn't have any scrambles in the second half, which is a little bit unusual. Could have used those a few times. I'm sure the Bills had a really good plan against it, probably better than the Patriots playing against Josh Allen. So
it was actually
definitely
identical.
Confusing and going to take a lot of work to make sense of what just happened.
Greg said it was what we talked about. It was actually a pretty similar game plan with the front that the Patriots had against Josh Allen, which was rush 5, pinch with the 2 outside guys, get into his face, and it worked in the first half. We'll get to keys to victory. But with Drake May, though, yeah, Bedard's right. They played a lot of man, but they played those 2 safeties high, and it confused them because he looked at those 2 safeties and said, "Okay, we're in zone here." So, what does he do? Because we're going to see it again.
Well, I was just going to say to you, Chris, Baltimore runs a lot of disguised zones and cover 0 packages. That's what they run. They disguise zone and they run cover 0 packages. That's
like Minnesota, where they get everybody's going to be at the line of scrimmage, and they drop. They come with guys. They drop.
So they're going to try to confuse May. That's what they're going to run. Now, and I would argue, Chris, that they have a better secondary than Buffalo with Hamilton.
I would agree with that.
Those guys, the safety, right? I would argue when healthy, and they are healthy now in the back end, in the secondary, they still got a bunch of injuries in the front, their defensive line, Chris. So that'll help us. But they're going to run. They disguise zones. They run cover 0. They're going to throw a lot. They're going to throw more at May, I'll argue, Chris, than Buffalo did. They'll throw more coverages at him than Buffalo did. Now,
well, I mean, they picked off Burrow last week.
They'll run some of what Buffalo ran. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to throw more at him than he showed last week.
They picked off Burrow twice last week.
Yeah,
did Baltimore,
and I think Joe Burrow's got better receivers. I don't know. I'll just go on a limb. I'll go on a limb there.
And sacked them 3 times. So
the little sisters of the poor got better receivers than we do.
So so what does he need to do? Well, and by the way, real quick, do you make anything about this weather situation? About how his ball looks in the weather?
Chris, when they brought that up, Chris, whenever the weather's a little off, May struggles. I don't think he struggled as much as he did in that Tampa game when it was raining out early. I don't know if that had anything to do with this, Chris. I just think in the second half, our defense couldn't get us the ball back. We struggled a bit. We only ran 18 goddamn plays.
Yeah.
I don't think the weather really had a ton to do with how he was playing, Chris. Do you think? What do you think?
I mean, he definitely doesn't like it. There's no question that his ball looks a little different in wet weather.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
But,
well, you better get used to it because that's playoff football in New England.
Yeah, and you play in New England. Yeah. And so what does he need to do? So for me, slow it down a bit. Obviously McDaniels has got to, figure something out.
Chris, does that mean we got to do something different on first and second down?
Maybe. We didn't talk about it yesterday. We should have, but the fact that they didn't run the ball in the second half much, but circumstances a lot made that happen. I mean, you had some drives where you ran the ball for a negative or -1 yard on the first down, and now you're forced into throwing situations. You had penalties on a couple of those drives where it brought you back into long yardage situations. So you kind of situationally and by your play took yourself out of the running game more so than I think they chose not to run. You know what I mean?
Was it, Chris, on one of those possessions that we had, those few possessions in the second half, wasn't like 3 or 4 mistakes in a row.
Yeah.
We were like
second and 25 or something
like that. Yeah.
Craziness like that. And again, they only had, but again, he's got to be better. I mean, it's not like he put the ball in harm's way. The interception he threw down the field, that was against when Mac Hollins got interfered with, we thought, and they picked it off. Yeah, it's like a punt. I'm not,
Yeah.
But he did put the ball in harm's way one other time, if you remember. And that
was a clear pick in the middle of the field. The Buffalo receiver drops the ball. Clear pick.
So, I think this week,
defender, I mean,
it's got to be a better job by him of diagnosing. Okay, of seeing, film study, diagnosing. What am I seeing at the line of scrimmage? What are some of the checks I have in my pocket?
You know what is interesting to me, Chris? Early in the game, he was going to the running backs out in the flat, and we even said wow, they're coming out of the bye week. They're incorporating some of the old Patriot offense, like they used to with White and those types of guys, because he was checking it out to Stevenson and to Henderson. And then all of a sudden they got the lead and they went away from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that's definitely going to have to be looked at as far as what the play calling.
I'll say this. People need to listen to this show, because last week, Chris and Joe, write it down, Joe. Write it down. I'm giving him credit. Write it down, Joe. He's already patting himself on the back. Look at him. Write it down, Joe. Write it down. Woo-hoo! He said, Mark, you're gonna see me. You're gonna see some RPOs down in the red zone. May's gonna take off and run with the ball. He has to be successful this week. And lo and behold, their first couple of times in the red zone, what does he do? Takes off and runs a design QB sneaks for.
And both of those, and both of those were designed. Because people
designed.
say, no. The second one was empty backfield.
That was designed.
He read it. No. You saw Garrett Bradbury bled out.
Yep.
He was downfield blocked.
Oh, yeah.
So you would have had. So it was either a legal man downfield on a pass he decided to run, or was designed.
So that's why, Chris, and I know we're going to get into this in Coach's Corner.
Which you think he needs to do more of this week.
He needs to do more of that. And I know we're going to get into this in Coach's Corner. So I think, obviously it was a tale of two halves, obviously by the score. But some of what he did early in that game, Chris, I think he needs to build upon and go back to what they did in the first half. And you can build, even though Baltimore's going to run things at you that you haven't seen all year, or they're going to try. But I think you can build off of some of those things that they did, Chris. Don't panic. It's, you know what I mean? You're not behind. It's not because I will say this, Chris. You get on top of Baltimore, they're not coming back like Buffalo did.
Well, they're not going to put 30+ points up on the board.
They're not. Jackson is a shell of himself right now. He's playing because he's trying to get them into the playoffs, but he's clearly not healthy, Chris. You were watching him last week, and you said to me, Mark, he's not healthy. He's playing because he has to, but he's not healthy.
Right. He's not the same guy. So Drake May, Mark's right. Slow it down, calm it down, see if you can diagnose early, use motion to tell you what they're doing, okay, and take what they give you. This is going to be a big take what the defense gives you week. I think if they do that, I think if he does that, I think he'll bounce back, and I think
you know what,
he'll
Chris,
be okay.
I'm going to tell you something else. I think you got to incorporate, because he wasn't used as much as I thought he would have been used last week. Now, I don't know if they're trying to limit the amount of how much they're using him,
why don't you
because they're going to need him in the playoffs.
Why don't you save it for the offensive keys, the victory?
Okay.
We'll do it in the next segment. Drake Mania was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Make sure you're tuning in to B's and C's and Catone's comments and our breakdown. We're not going to be off. We're going to be off next week, but we'll be back the following week. Talk about that.
Joe, he's obsessed with the C's, Joe. Obsessed with the C's.
Ho, 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 ho. Stick around. We'll be.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more
Corso and Catone.
Saturdays at noon.
Back in with more Pats Nation. I swear to God, you guys, So we talked about Drake Mania. We want to get to our offensive and keys to victory. Mark's got a point he wants to make. We want to do it in Pat's preview, and let's do it right now.
Pets preview.
Okay, Mark. So we talked about Drake May. What are some of the things he needs to do differently? You had a thought coming right out of the gate. Let's hear it.
So last week, I thought, and you thought, Chris, that you would see more digs than we did. Now, are they trying to limit him for the playoffs and really unleash him? And I mean, it's been over a year now, Chris, for the knee. So now you would think he's starting to get a little bit more like himself. I mean, I know to get fully 100% from coming out of those injuries, it's more of like a 12 to 16 month rehabilitation. He came back soon, but you have to think in a game like this, Chris, you may see an uptick in the use of Diggs. Now, are teams intentionally taking him away from May, Chris, when you look at tape? Or is it just that Diggs just doesn't have it right now, and they're not incorporating him as much. I have to think, Chris, for them to be successful against Baltimore and moving forward, Diggs has to become more of a focal point in the offense.
Can I just say, Mark, thank you for saying that, because I was biting my tongue ready to say that because I've been saying that for 3 weeks now. Get
Right?
Diggs involved. You got to get him involved. Sorry.
Breaking news: get Diggs involved.
He's the only guy catching the ball when he
I know.
needs to. You know what I mean?
Listen, to answer that question, okay. So, all right, there was a lot there. Okay, no, I think he's having some problems. I think the season's wearing on him a bit. I think coming off the ACL, stamina wise, all of it, his percentage of plays have gone down.
Yeah.
And the Jets game, he was somewhere in the 68% range of plays, and that's trickled down to, and I think last game at Buffalo was maybe under 50% of the amount of plays that he's played. Why is that? I think that his body is wearing. I don't think his body is giving him what he wants at this moment. I really don't. Something happened in the Jets game. Something happened to his knee. Something happened, or his hamstring. Something happened in that game to his leg, if you remember.
Yes, you're right. I do remember that. You're right.
And I just don't think he's getting the separation that he's used to getting. He can't get off press. He's not, his cuts out of breaks are not crisp enough. He's not, when he's stemming routes, on those little short jerk routes and things like that, guys are attached to him. If you watched in the last game, if you really watched Diggs in some of these plays, he had somebody covering. I think it was a linebacker, 45. I think
That's a linebacker. That's a linebacker. Yeah, it's a linebacker.
Okay, so he was in the slot. He was lined up in the slot in this particular occasion, and he ran a little bit of. He ran a little dig, a little inside dig route. Okay, I think it was. It was just an inside route, in route, and he couldn't shake this guy. He couldn't when he stemmed that route and he made a move and he broke. That guy was attached to him. He couldn't handle the physicality. So I don't know if his body is responding to him the way he wants it to at this moment. That's my guess, because he didn't forget how to run routes. But I agree with you. He's a guy they need, but physically he's not getting off the coverage, which Vrabel talked about that a little bit. This is what about the wide receivers.
We have to continue to run routes. Receivers got a very unique job. We need them in the run game. You have to have them in the run game at some capacity. When we run it, and then when we throw it, they have to be able to recognize man or zone quickly. But their job is to get open and create separation or have great spacing, and their job isn't to decide if they get the ball thrown to them or not. Okay,
so he said a couple of things there that with Vrabel, you're gonna read into the. So I think he sees that they're not getting separation. But that last comment, Mark, about it's not their job to know if the ball's getting thrown to them, something like that. Does that mean that they're quitting on routes?
Yeah, that's what I took it as, Chris, that they're not giving the same effort and the same,
unless
they know
they're not getting the ball.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. I think, just talking about Diggs for a second, again, is the fact that I think that's directed towards him, because I see a look on Diggs' face that, get me the ball. I'm there to catch it. And he's the only one, even not shaking defenders, he's the only one still catching the ball when May threads the needle. He's there to catch it.
Yeah, but he's not
getting enough.
The problem is he's not open. He wasn't open against Buffalo. He just wasn't. He's not shaking free on these routes. He's not open. And even when he was, and there was a route that maybe it was like a little over route, when they played that too high shell, the safeties, the other safety picked them up. So when he's not getting free, he's getting doubled. You could see two guys on him because he's all they got.
Who I thought was disappointing too, who has to, and I know he's coming off with a hamstring injury. Booty. I thought Booty would give you more last week too, and he really didn't.
Again, another guy was not able to gain separation on some of those roles. Mark, they were look at
So let me ask you this.
It was a
Chris.
well-executed
Listen,
defense.
let me ask you this. So Pop Douglas is basically irrelevant right now. So
This is the only way. Before you ask that
Right.
question, let me
Go
just
ahead.
preface what you're going to say. He's
You know
the
what I'm
only
gonna say.
guy they have that can get off press man, or supposedly is supposed to be able to with his speed. Now,
So
go ahead.
why isn't he being used more?
Because he's not getting off. That's why. Because he's not getting separation.
So
He's
somebody
not.
explain to me. I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm sick of the ego.
You are
bullshit.
what you are.
You are what you are. I'm sick of the ego bullshit and stroking these guys. Listen, you've done it for 14 weeks. It's playoff push now. Now it's playoff time. You're playing for the division, and you're playing to try to get at least a number 2 seed.
Right, you're playing to try to go to the Super Bowl.
Now it's real. Now it's real.
Yeah.
So unless he's completely wetting himself in practice, which I find hard to believe, I think this is a Vrabel, playing with the culture of the team nonsense still. How you don't think Chisholm can give you something at this point when your other receivers are wetting? They're cooked. You don't think Chisholm could possibly give you something more than what you're seeing?
Now, breaking news.
Breaking news, play Chisholm. That's the breaking
Chris, what do
news.
you think?
Mark, I'll take a guy. I'll take anybody that can run a route. I'll take
He
anybody
can run
that
a route.
I'll take anybody that can run a clean route, that can stem a route, that can understand the concepts of choice routes. I'll take any guy, okay, that has the first steps like Chisholm does at the top of routes, can break on jerk routes, that can go return.
The beat writers, Chris, is saying, well, in practice, he's not getting open. He can't get, guys are putting their hands on him. He can't get away from them. I find it hard to believe, Chris.
I mean, if that's the truth, then that's the truth. I'm not at practice.
That's the truth. But Chris, what we saw in training camp, what would make you think that that's all of a sudden happening now?
Because it's falsetto.
It's a falsetto. Yeah. All of a sudden now that's happening. It didn't happen the entire training camp. We watched them the entire preseason. Now all of a sudden that's happening in practice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, if there's a guy on this roster and he's one of those guys that could, like I said, that could stem a route, they can run a jerk route, they can run a return route, those whip routes, that can come in and out of the breaks, because nobody was running them better than him in the whole wide receiver room in training camp. These kinds of routes. Anybody that can get separation and get open, put them on the damn field at this point. And if that's one of those guys that can do that, then damn right he should be playing. What the hell's the difference? Pop Douglas, did he even make it into the stat sheet? No, he didn't even get on this. He's not even making it onto the stat sheet.
So what are we doing here? What are we
for
doing?
even an attempt? So again, what do they need to do then? Okay, so Mark, keys to victory. If they're going to beat Baltimore on offense, we talked about Drake May. We talked about some of the calm he has to have, and some of the reading and diagnosing has got to get better. The rest of the offense.
Chris,
what's
I
your
think
keys?
they're going to have to continue, I think, with establishing the running game. They did it last week at the beginning of the game.
Cincinnati ran for 100 yards against them. They did.
Second half, Chris, like you said, they only had 18 plays. I don't necessarily know if the flow of the game set up for them to go back to the run, but I think you have to establish it. Stevenson ran well early last week. Henderson obviously had the 2 big touchdown runs. I think you have to continue with that, Chris, and establish that early, because that is going to set up play action, and that's going to set up maybe some easier throws for May in space and getting guys open, Chris. And I think, to your point, you're gonna have to make a quick decision and get to the checkdowns. You're gonna have to get to the checkdowns quickly, because otherwise you're gonna end up with what you had in Buffalo. Milano got to him a couple of times. Bosa was in his face because he wasn't getting to the checkdowns, and he's gonna have to use his legs, Chris, like he did in the first half last week. He's gonna have to use his legs strategically. Don't go get yourself a concussion smartly. Don't go get yourself a concussion, but there has to be some designed RPOs in certain situations that they can incorporate to win this football game, because I'm telling you, Baltimore is going to throw things at him. They're going to try to confuse him. And they're going to constantly be changing. They're going to be moving guys in, back, off the line, on the line. You're going to see a lot of pre-snap movement by Baltimore to confuse him, Chris. And then they'll drop into a certain coverage.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, a lot like Minnesota does.
Flores defense.
Flores does. You're going to see a lot of that this week against May.
Yeah, and so and you know what? You mentioned Stevenson. Listen, don't forget, Stevenson can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So get him on the field. You look. Not only you need him on the field for pass protection. Got that. Check. Well, last week, if you remember, he caught a pass out of the backfield. And that's when that offsetting penalty happened with Malay and Milano slapping each other in the helmets on the sideline. That was like a 15-yard catch and run in that. So you have that available. You have a guy that can do that. We need to see more of that. We need to see more stuff out to the edges.
His rookie year, he did a lot of that out of the backfield. That was part of the reason why they signed him to the extension, because they thought he was a 3-down back.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, they are what they are at this stage, but we'll see if the receivers can get some separation and play better. But those are all offensive keys to victory. But this portion of Pat's preview was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. We come back, going to stay in Pat's preview, going to talk about the defense and those keys to victory. No flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pats Nation. All right, so Mark, continuing on with this breakdown of this Baltimore game, flipping over to the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, I don't have a cut to play right now because it was too irritating, all of it. When I listen to it, I want to throw up, So it certainly doesn't get any easier this week when dealing with a running quarterback and you're talking about a team. Okay, I realize how bad Cincinnati is. Okay,
yeah,
but Baltimore ran for 189 yards. Okay. 189 yards. Derrick Henry ran for 100 yards, 9 yards a carry. He averaged 9 a carry. Okay. Now, they only scored 24 points.
And one of those was a pick six.
So they really scored 17 points, this team. That's the biggest difference between
Lamar Jackson
last week and this week.
Under 100 yards, didn't he?
He threw for 150 yards. If you took the sacks, then, took away, it's 128, but 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick is what he threw for last week. He was 8 of 12. He threw the ball 12 times.
That's what I meant. Only 12 times, Chris. How do you only he only threw the ball 12 times?
12 times. They ran the ball 24 times. So they only had, Mark, 30? They only had that can't be right. 100 plays. But they don't run a lot of plays is the point. That's the thing. So, again,
if you score points, Chris, against this team, you'll beat them. They're not going to outscore you. If you score 31 points this week, Chris, you should win.
Yeah.
But defensively, you're right. They run the ball, Chris. And we don't think we're going to see Spillane.
And they run with right.
Spillane's been in the walking boot this week, so we're probably not going to see him.
And they run the ball with precision. Their running game is methodical as to how the Baltimore Ravens run the ball. So if you can't, like Vrabel likes to say, build a wall.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't build a wall against this team and you allow creases, it's going to be a long day in the sense of you better jump on top of them early. And then the other key to victory we didn't mention for the offense is get a lead, play with a lead to try to take the running game away from this team, because that's what has to happen here. I have no confidence that this defense can stop the run right now. Okay. There's nothing I've seen, not just last week, but this is going back in the last month.
Tonga had a terrible game last week.
Yeah. Now I can only hope he gets better based on the fact that he's another week off the injury.
He got turned more. Chris,
Right.
I couldn't believe how many times he got turned and Cook just ran right by him.
But our linebackers, Gibbons and Tavai, and these guys that were filling,
couldn't
fill. And these guys that were run fitting was bad. It was really bad. They can't choose. It's going to have to be a lot more discipline a lot more focused, discipline. And I would say they're going to have to employ the same kind of a style they did against Josh Allen, in the sense of, I like the idea of rushing 5 guys and pinching with the 2 outside guys to keep the pocket closed. But listen, Lamar Jackson can throw the ball too now. He's not as bad as he used to be in delivering the football.
And Baltimore has better receivers than Buffalo.
Yes.
For sure. By the way, they got 2 good tight ends. They got Lively and they've got Andrews, who yes is a little older, but they're 2 tight ends, Chris. They're going to be a problem for us, a big problem.
Well, would you take Andrews over Knox?
Yes.
Okay. And I would take Kincaid over Lively, but
I would take Kincaid over Lively. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean the issues remain. If you can't load and stop it's the load the box. So the game for these guys, the game plan. I mean, and we'll get to special teams in a second, but it's got to be the same thing again. Keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Don't let him bleed out. Do what Buffalo did to Drake May.
He's not going to run the ball as much as Allen does, Chris, because Jackson, you and I both believe, is still banged up and hurt. He will.
Well, he only ran twice for 26 yards last week.
He will run strategically if he has to, but his hamstring is not healthy. You and I firmly believe, and you said this when you watch him every week. You said, Mark, he's not healthy. He's only out there because if you win 9 games, you might win that division. That's the only reason he's out there. But he's not. As soon as they say they're eliminated, you won't see him on the field because you said he's not 100%.
No. So again, it's incumbent upon you to, pinch like with your ends, like Buffalo did to you, and fill those throwing lanes, and fill those running lanes. Okay, get your hands up as defensive linemen, bat balls down, do what you need to do. But to get any of that done, to do any of that, means you've got to have an effort, and it's got to be your world to stop Henry. That's it. How do you do it?
Well, I'll say this though, Chris. He's the tackle runner. He's not going to. You don't have to worry so much about the edge like you did with Cooks. He's not going to bounce it. He's not necessarily going to bounce it outside.
No, but when he gets to the second level, he can get to the outside, and then he's gone.
Can. You're right. When he gets to the second level, you're right. He'll cut it to the outside, and he's gone. You're right.
But you have to fix. Okay, Cook last week ran for 107 yards, I believe it was, something like that. Yeah. Okay, so out of that 107 yards, he was 4.9 yards a carry. So he's like 5 yards a carry on 22 carries. 101 of those yards came after contact.
Well, what does that tell you?
That tells you that if you don't clean that part up, if you don't get hats to the ball, Derrick Henry is going to run. His yards after contact will go through the roof. And his percentage of yards after contact is one of the best in the league, obviously. So the point is you got to get hats to the ball, which means you're going to have which means in this particular game, Mark, you got to play man coverage. You have to. You've got to play man on the outside, and you've got to load the box, not man with blitzing. But there are run blitzes. There are disguises you can create with dropping down a safety loft cover 2 look. They played a
shitload of zone last week.
They did. I know. And listen, I don't mind. Look, against teams like this, that you're wide, the passing game isn't prevalent, isn't as I'm not a cover 3 guy. I'm not a big cover 3 kind of guy. Yeah. I think it's an archaic coverage, but it will work when you're trying to protect against the run. And the way it works is when you give your 2-high shell look, you give your 2-high safety look, cover 2, and you drop down, you bring that robber down, you take one of those safeties and you bring them out from safety down into the box for the purpose of fitting, and making those defensive linemen and linebackers right on the run game. And you're basically left with a cover 3 behind it. Okay? Yeah, you need to see some of that this week. You need to see some of that. You can't run cover 2. There's no reason to run cover 2.
Some of the old Belichick principles.
Yeah, but there's no reason to run 2 deep safeties this week. No. For any reason. I mean, that just invites the run. So you've got to be able to get into the box, and you've got to be able to stop. You got to stop it at the first level. And when you're getting a hat to the ball, you got to get all the hats to the ball. That means pursuit's important. The fundamentals, Mark. Yeah. Everybody to the ball. Yeah.
Listen, this defense, it was mind-boggling. Mind-boggling what happened in the second half of that game. When you go
back, 5
look,
touchdowns in a row.
You couldn't get one stop, Chris. Not one stop.
What about the red
And you only needed one stop. The game ends up 35-31. You only needed one stop to win that game. One on defense, and you couldn't get it. The red zone defense, Chris, has been the worst in the NFL all season long. They've been the worst in the red zone all year.
And goal to goes is even worse. So
that's even worse, Chris. Let me ask you a question.
How do you stop that? How do you stop it?
3rd and 15.
Yeah. 3rd and goal from the 15.
3rd and goal from the 15. I'm sorry. 14, 3rd and goal from the 15. What the hell was that shit defense they employed in that? If you come up with a stop there, Chris, they're not going for on 4th and goal from the 15. They're going to kick the field goal, right?
I didn't like the play call. I didn't like the play call at all. Now, I think that somebody on the line, I think that, and to me, I think it was Bondmore's fault. It's simply because what happened was Bondmore and Landry ended up both inside. They ended up both of them rushing inside, and they left the outside wide open, and Allen just kind of rolled and waited.
He sat there.
And I think Bondmore was supposed to loop.
They just had those guys all spread out and let people run free.
It was like 3-by-3, playing at sticks, playing at goal line, and just kind of drop it into the end zone and just kind of feeling it. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like that call on defense at all. So to me, when I look at the red zone issues on defense, I attribute a lot of this to coaching. A lot of it. I attribute to, and when I say coaching, I'm talking about game day coaching. So we talk about the play calling on the friggin' offense, okay? Let's talk about it on the defense. Times that.
Can I lean back in my chair and talk about?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lean back and say, there's only so many. There's only so many times where you can run a 3-over-3 zone look behind at the goal line. That's cute and all. I mean, it works at times. There's only so many times you could do that, and that's cute. Same thing. You got issues with the play calling during the game. And I don't.
But when we get into coach's corner, Chris,
but
they don't critique the defense. It's the offense that they critique. It's the offense scored 31 points. The offense wasn't the problem.
Right. So what's the key?
What's your big key, Chris? What is your major key then on defense for this team tonight?
Plug the gaps. Don't allow any seams. Don't allow cutback lanes. Don't allow a lot of seams. Play them square. Your defensive front is going to have to be able to play square on the offensive lineman, meaning they can't get turned, like you said. Tonga got turned a lot, right? He got twisted, he got turned,
and it was awful.
And there was nobody there to fill. So they're going to have to be able to place a little more square and take on some of those gaps and square themselves up in the gaps. And the linebackers the linebackers can't choose. They've got to play their run fits properly. They've got to read their keys from their offensive line into the backfield. Okay, back to fundamental on how you stop the run. And that's got to be the key this week. And if he beats you from the pocket and throws for 300, then fine.
Where the hell was Chazon last week?
Again, yeah. I thought in the first half he did a pretty good job of setting the edge. But
he did. He needs to get some pressure on Jackson.
Well, that's the other thing too. Their inability to get pressure with 4. It's a lost cause now until Milton Williams comes back. I mean, you're not getting any pressure, at least with 4 guys. It's not going to be a 4-guy rush. It's going to be a strategic run blitzing situation this week. It's got to be, and they've got to make those. They've got to make those calls proper. Show a cover 2 look, bring it down to a robber look, and just get guys in the box and set the edge. That's it. Get tacklers in the box to stop the run and force Lamar Jackson to sit in the pocket, throw the ball, and beat you. That's it. Because it's not a team that's going to score 30-something points.
No.
So
they won't.
To me, that's what needs to happen. And on special teams, Mark, okay, just lastly,
our special teams, Chris, I don't know what happened to them.
This is what Vrabel had to say about it.
Strength of ours, and we knew going in that it would be a good test and a great challenge, and so again, just they're too good to give them short fields, and field position in games like this is critical. Making them, be able to drive it and somehow along the way get a stop, and so that wasn't the only play. That was certainly one that we need to get back, and again, that's been a strength of ours, and I'm confident that it'll be a strength of ours going forward.
Okay, so listen. You can't give this team the ball on the 50-yard line, on our 40-yard line. You can't do that consistently and have holding calls on good returns when Williams did have a good one. If that's the trend, coaches,
kick it out of the end zone, get it to the 35.
Kick it out of the friggin' end zone and
Yeah.
get the ball on the 35-yard line. Let's go play football.
Yeah.
I mean, end of story.
Well, this week, Chris, listen, he can say that in his press conference, but he's concerned about special teams because he went and picked up the guy from the Raiders this week, who was a special teams guy, a top special teams guy last year. He went and I think they put him on the practice squad, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's active Sunday.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. But those are our keys to victory, offensively, defensively. Let's see if we're right when we're talking about that. But Pat's preview was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, we got it all. We got Catone's comments, B's and C's, the Red Sox, Yankees. Make sure you
don't bring them up. Please don't bring them up.
When we come back, going to go into the coaching room. Coach's Corner is next. The real deal, New England Field. What does that mean? We're like you. We're going to bitch about everything.
My opinion, our draft, the good, the bad, it was ugly.
These people, Mark, drive me freaking insane. Bananas.
It's so frustrating and aggravating. I can't take it.
The real deal, New England Field. It's going to be real.
Like it's 2 straight weeks now where a lot of the offensive productions come in the first half. Any trends you're seeing in the second half from the offense?
For me today, I don't know if I'd be able to answer that. I thought, when the
somebody better
opportunities that they had, today we hit a bunch of big plays. So, again, the drive that we needed our offense to get, I was confident. And I thought for sure that we'd take that football and go down and score a touchdown. And we just weren't able to. That's why I went for it. They were going to continue to pressure. They pressured and played zone, and it wasn't enough for us to be able to. I thought there were times where they pressured and we couldn't come clean, and or we weren't able to complete some passes.
More comments on the wide receiver,
especially on third down when they pressured, and so.
Not being able to come clean.
We'll have to make sure that we're converting third downs.
Okay, so that was Mike Vrabel talking after the game about the offense. Now, if that were all he said, that's fine. It's all legit.
That's a fair critique.
It's all legit of what happened. Now, let me preface this by saying nothing that Vrabel has said I disagree with. Okay? Nothing.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with anything he just said at all, Chris.
And more importantly, I don't think anything he said all week long, McDaniels would disagree with.
No.
But what the hell do you make of this?
You can only run so many double passes that gain 13 yards. You know what I mean? Like that's cool and it's cute. But you can only run so many of those before, again, you can only dial up so many of those. I always, I'm not going to sit here. I've never really tried to second guess the play calling. I always think that the best plays are ones that are decisive and that the players know and that they trust. And, obviously there's some better ones, but I don't think there's a perfect call. And so, we get back and we look at it, and I'm sure there's always going to be some ones that we're going to want to have back.
And then
there's always decisions that you want to have back, and how I could have made this better, whether that's as a player or as a coach. And I've said this for as long as I've been able to say it as a head football coach. There is no perfect play. There are good, perfect call. There are good calls, and there's not so good calls. And again, my reason for saying this is you don't want to have a call that gets in late. Those calls that are good they're in a timely manner. The personnel group is in there. The players have repped it. They've seen it. They know they have answers for things that they could do. They have answers for things that were unscouted, which occur in every game. And then, you could always sit back after the game and say, hey, we could have done this a little differently. We could have called this.
So is that go ahead. I got some things to say, but go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
So that last clip you just played.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying Josh didn't adjust in the second. There were adjustments that needed to be made. He didn't make those adjustments. Based on that's basically what he's saying. Josh didn't adjust. What about your defense? Did they adjust?
The specifics with which he's speaking about the offense.
You were leaning back in your chair with
right.
your hands on your head. Tell our viewers why you were doing that, because they may not realize why you were doing it.
Because the first clip we played of him talking about the double pass and how it's cute and you can't rely on it, okay, he was leaning back in his chair as if he was just sitting around having a beer with his buddies, shooting the shit and just basically, bitching about
play caller.
Yeah.
The play caller.
So, two things, okay? I have no problem with the criticism of the offense. It's fine. I don't think Josh McDaniels disagrees with anything. But you ran 18 plays. Like, what should have then come out of his mouth was, and all of that being said, everybody, it's really tough to get going on offense, especially when teams adjust to you and you're not having trouble getting open and do it when you can't stay on the field, when the other team controls the clock for 22 out of 30 minutes, okay, and scores 5 touchdowns in a row and runs the ball right up right down your face. You know what I mean? All day long. And on defense, okay, so for defensively, we didn't put our team in a good spot. We didn't put our offense in a good spot. It's the defense's job to get off the field, especially when the offense is struggling, to get them more plays so that they can get into a rhythm. If he said that right after, I'd have more respect.
Yeah.
But he's got a blind spot for this defense, Mark. What the hell is it?
I don't know what that is.
Michael Holley for Boston, new NBC Sports Boston said this. That's so I'm stealing that blind spot comment.
Yeah,
but it's true.
Chris, but you brought up on Catone, across from Catone, you said, Mark, maybe it's because McDaniels is who he is, and he's one of the most experienced offensive play callers in the league. And you got guys on defense who have never really done it before because your DC is out, and so maybe he's giving them a pass because they've never really done it, and they're doing the best they can. Because by the way, the DC was in the building this week. He's not going to be on the sideline, but he was in the building. And we haven't seen him in the building in quite a while. He's been taking care of, obviously, his personal medical issues. But maybe they said to him, listen, if you feel up to it, we need some help for game planning.
Yeah.
I
mean, maybe
Vrabel's supposed to be a defensive guy, Chris.
Right. If you're going to take if that's the nice guy approach, the nice guy approach is these guys are stepping up and they're doing too much. They're doing more than they signed on to have to do. And we were scrambling all season without a DC. So I'm not going to get on them. But McDaniels, I'm going to get on because I have a high expectation for him. Of what he should be.
And by the way, I didn't hire him.
Yeah. Or is it that? Or is it that? Or is it these are my guys?
And
because
if you listen to take him.
If you listen to the Tennessee reporters, and I know we're going to get to Sunday spread, but the Tennessee reporters, if you listen to them, they say this was Vrabel's MO. If you're not his guy.
But Chris, the amount of what he's done with Drake May, he should be kissing Josh's ass. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something, Chris. If Josh, and I don't think Josh is going anywhere. I don't think he wants to be a head coach anymore. But if he doesn't become a head coach, he's coming back. Kraft is not letting you get rid of Josh McDaniels. McDaniels is going to be here. So he's going to have to get past his issue with McDaniels not being his guy.
You mock my words. If and we'll see the way the year plays out and finishes offensively. But if Josh McDaniels wants a head coaching job, he can get one.
Yeah, but I don't think he does, Chris.
I don't think he does either.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does either. But if he wants one, he can get one.
Yeah.
In my opinion. End of story.
Yeah.
So,
right.
so I just wanted to play some of those clips because I don't know what the hell he's doing this for. I don't know why Vrabel's talking like this and acting like this and behaving that way. Optics, man. Body language. Body language counts. It counts for you too. Okay? So if you're going to stick by the players and stick by your defensive coaches, stick by them all. Now, it's time to make some money. Joe, I think it's time for Sunday spread, my friend. Okay, so Mark, let's go to our game. It's a 3-point spread. Patriots are getting 3 in Baltimore. Yep. Okay. Last week I didn't do too bad. I had good teases last week.
Yeah.
But what do you like in our game? It's tough.
Well, in our game, Chris, I'm going to say something to you. We scored 31 points last week, Chris. You can't blame the offense. Yeah, you can in the second half somewhat, but I think we bounce back, Chris. I think we bounce back. I'm going to say 27-17. No, I'm going to say 27-21 Patriots.
Yeah.
27-21 Patriots.
Yeah. I have 28-17 Patriots in this game. Yeah. I think the Patriots will stick on the trend of scoring points plus 24 points.
I think they bounce back.
And I think defensively, I just don't know if Baltimore's going to have enough time. Like, they just don't score points. No. I think Baltimore's going to run the hell out of the ball, but I don't think they're going to score a lot of points.
Can win this game if they get 2 or 3 turnovers. And that's my concern this week, that you revert back to, 2 picks, fumble, because that's the type of defense Baltimore has.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden Baltimore scores 27 points because you gave him 3 turnovers.
Yeah. So, okay, Mark, what do you got?
That's the only way, Chris. I think that's the only way you lose this game is if you turn the ball over.
Well, then let's not turn the ball over. Let's avoid doing that then. What are you thinking? Yeah. This holiday season.
Here we go. He's back.
All right, go ahead. Let's make some money.
All right. Let's make some money. Listen, we did pretty good last week. Chris.
I thought so.
We did good last week.
Yeah.
So here's what I like, Chris, this week. I'm gonna do
it's like a mad scientist in a friggin' laboratory right now.
I'm gonna do a tease. I'm gonna do a 3-team tease.
There's some big lines too.
There is some big lines. I'm gonna go with Buffalo on the road because I think Buffalo winning that New England game, Chris, puts them in overdrive. I think they're gonna go into Cleveland and smack them around. I'll take them in a tease. I'm gonna put them with Detroit. At home, Detroit, because I still think Pittsburgh stinks, Chris.
Well, so you got a 10-point spread with Buffalo is favored by 10. So you're going to bring that down to about 6. What's the next one?
And I like Detroit at home.
7 points. You want to bring that down to 1?
I'm going to bring that down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take Denver at home because Trevor Lawrence is going to pee down his leg against that defense in Denver.
Okay.
Because he pees down his leg whenever he plays a good defense.
Okay. So for me, that's actually good. There's a couple of other big lines this week. You're talking about I'll find it, but there was like a 14-point spread somewhere. The Raiders in Houston.
Yeah.
I would almost honestly tease that up to 21 points.
Which one? The Raiders?
Yeah.
All right.
Even though they're on the road. Okay.
Even though they're the worst team, they're one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah, I'll give you this. I like Detroit straight up. They're favored by 7 in this game against Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is a friggin' fraud. Okay.
They are.
And so I think Detroit's going to bounce and play that team, and I think they're gonna win big. The other game I like, and I hate to pick it, and I don't want to, but Denver's at home, giving 3 to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but I may just bet them just so that Denver will lose, because that's my luck, right? But those are the 2 games I like. Denver with 3, giving up 3. Detroit giving up 7 at home, and you know what? Arizona's playing Atlanta at home, and Arizona's getting 3 at home. Throw something on Arizona, maybe tease that one up.
Arizona.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, they're that kind of team.
What the hell is wrong with you?
They'll just win this game just for the hell of it, you know? So
can I say something?
You can.
We're taping tonight, but I'm going to say something to you. Thursday night football. I'm not picking the game, but I just want to say this to you.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't happened yet. Please pay attention. Guy I liked in the draft, 7th round pick, wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. I told you, Chris, take a flyer on him. Kanata Mumfield. Devontae Adams is hurt. This kid Mumfield's going to get a shot. Just pay attention and say the wide receiver whisperer is at it again.
There you go.
Just pay attention, please.
All right, so pay attention to that game tonight that's happening. But remember, bet for want, not for need. And listen, to you guys, your families, and all of you out there, please have a safe, healthy, and happy holiday and a good new year. Remember, we're not going to be back until we'll be back on the 3rd, I think, of January.
We're off next week. So, ho, ho, ho.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Oh,